History isn't just decided by generals and presidents. Sometimes it's decided by one word, misheard, mistranslated, or strategically smoothed until it means something else. Today, 5 translation failures that didn't just confuse people, they shifted treaties, hardened public opinion, and helped steer real policy. And the first one starts with a single Japanese word the world read as a slap in the face. Number 1, the word that helped freeze diplomacy, Mokusatsu. July 1945, the Allies published the Potsdam Declaration, surrender or face prompt and utter destruction. Japan's leadership is split. Some want a way out, some want to keep fighting, some want to stall for better terms. Then Prime Minister Kantaro Suzuki responds with a word, Mokusatsu. Here's the problem. Mokusatsu isn't a clean one-to-one translation. In context, it can mean something like, we're withholding comment for now. But it can also land like, we're treating this with contempt, ignoring it. Now ask yourself, in a world on a hair trigger, which version travels faster? The harsher one, the one that fits a storyline, the one that shuts doors. International reporting framed it as rejection, and once that frame lands, everything downstream hardens. Public pressure, military logic, and the brutal arithmetic of ending the war fast. Was one word the sole cause of Hiroshima and Nagasaki? No, don't be lazy. But did that ambiguity help kill diplomatic oxygen at exactly the wrong moment? It very plausibly didn't help. Lock in the pattern. Translation isn't just language, it's policy. Because the next one isn't a single word under time pressure. It's a treaty where translation created 2 incompatible realities on paper. Number 2, the treaty that meant 2 different things, the Treaty of Waitangi. New Zealand, 1840. The British Crown wants sovereignty. Maori chiefs want protection and trade without losing control of land and authority. A treaty is drafted in English and in Maori. The problem is the key concepts don't map cleanly. In the English version, the Crown gains sovereignty. In the Maori text, the Crown gets something closer to governance, while Maori retain Rangatiratanga, commonly understood as chiefly authority. So which one is real? Depends who you ask, because both documents exist, both were signed, and the gap between them is a fault line. That ambiguity becomes a multi-generation engine, land disputes, political conflict, and the modern structure of Crown-Maori relations. Here's what makes it brutal. Both sides signed, both sides believed they understood, and both sides were right within their own language. This wasn't a misunderstanding you clear up later. It was a misunderstanding you built a nation on top of. Number 1 was ambiguity under pressure. Number 2 was ambiguity embedded in a founding contract. So what happens when multiple official versions exist and the difference isn't accidental, but strategically useful? If you like stories where tiny details create massive downstream consequences, subscribe to NuFacto. Smart facts fast, mechanism over myth. And next video, 5 forged documents that rewired politics because lies on paper can be as lethal as bullets. Number 3, the UN text that let everyone claim victory, Resolution 242 in 1967. After the Six-Day War, the UN Security Council passes Resolution 242. It becomes the backbone of decades of diplomacy in the Middle East. And here's the trap. The resolution exists in multiple official language versions. The English and the French don't line up cleanly on the key clause about withdrawal. The English version says withdrawal from territories occupied. The French version reads as withdrawal des territories occupied, which many interpret as from the occupied territories. One small difference, huge strategic value, because now you can build 2 diplomatic narratives that are both anchored to the official text. One side can argue for full withdrawal, while the other leaves room for negotiated borders and partial pullbacks. And once that ambiguity is inside the legal spine of your peace process, it doesn't go away. It becomes the negotiation itself. This is translation as leverage, not a mistake you correct, a gap you exploit, a sentence that becomes a battlefield. Notice the escalation across our list. Mokusatsu, ambiguity in a response. Waitangi, ambiguity in a founding treaty. Resolution 242, ambiguity at global scale, where the ambiguity becomes the diplomatic weapon. Now we shift from legal language to something even faster and more dangerous, the headline quote. Number 4, the phrase that sounded like a threat of annihilation. We will bury you, 1956. Cold War, Nikita Khrushchev says something that gets translated into English as, we will bury you. In the West, it lands like a murder threat, but in Russian idiom, the meaning tracks closer to, we will outlast you, history will move past you. Now don't let him off the hook.
Khrushchev loved blunt, aggressive rhetoric, but translation changes the temperature. It makes it easier for politicians to believe they're not competing, they're coming. And once a phrase becomes a headline, it stops being a translation problem and becomes a perception problem. The quote detaches from context and hardens ideology. Quick gut check. How many modern crises are about what someone really meant versus what the public heard? Exactly. Now, the last one is my favorite because it's modern, boring, and expensive. Number 5, the translation error that nuked a space mission, metric versus imperial, 1999. Mars Climate Orbiter, NASA, a mission worth over $100 million. One team used imperial units for thrust, another system expected metric. That's not Spanish to English, but it is translation. And the brutal part is how ordinary it is. No villain, just an interface assumption that nobody owned end to end. This is why I keep hammering mechanism. In complex systems, disasters rarely come from one dramatic failure. They come from chains of small mismatches that compound silently. And space is unforgiving. Mars doesn't care that you basically meant the same thing. So what links all 5? Translation is compression. You take messy reality and squeeze it into symbols, and every squeeze drops context. When the stakes are low, it's funny. When the stakes are high, it becomes history. One practical takeaway: anytime you see a high-stakes message cross a boundary, assume there's silent data loss. Then ask 3 questions. Who verifies the meaning? Who owns the handoff? Who benefits from ambiguity? Drop a comment. Which one surprised you most? And what's a modern phrase you think the world is misunderstanding right now?